So far, there are some, I was thinking about listeners out there who are thinking about these ideas. So far, we've got some key concepts around, we've heard almost everybody speak about this idea of dialogism. We've looked at chronotype, we've looked at culture, we've looked at aspects of language, we've looked at the social dynamics. So anyone out there who might have an interest in those kinds of ideas or that kind of thinking, this is the conference for you. I'd like to, in the absence of Craig, I'd like to now open the floor for questions. Beginning, I think, Tony, you had posed a question that you'd like some response to.
Yes, my question is really just asking for a little bit of help, in fact. I'm interested in my work here with international students who are non-English speaking background to introduce English for academic purposes, in particular into a physics course we teach. So this is a little project we're undergoing, and what I'm trying to do is get a veneer of theoretical respectability around what is otherwise a reasonably empirical project. My background is from chemistry, so that's certainly my tendencies. What we're trying to do in particular is to introduce collocations of words that are used within the cognitive genre of physics, to bring in language aspects, to see how a group of learners, listeners in this case, say, can manage these things. And these students will come from different language backgrounds and different pedagogies, and different levels of background subject understandings and the way they're taught and learnt. And so this is where I get this idea of polyaralcy, the notion that perhaps the recipients, the reception of the text that is provided is to a group which is rather similar to polyphony in Bakhtin's work, from the other perspective. So I'm kind of interested in that aspect, and my question really was just, was what sort of work did Bakhtin engage in this? And my question too, which went to everyone I think, but Michael Gardner answered it. Did Bakhtin consider the recipients of text? And if not, or if so, how well does reader response theory represent the situation of the reader in this context? And Michael answered that there was no theory of the reader as such in Bakhtin, but there have been attempts to relate his ideas to reader reception theory using such notions as dialogism. And he mentioned David Shepard's work in a book called Bakhtin and Cultural Theory, and I think the article was Bakhtin and the Reader, and I have since sourced that. Oh. Yes. Oh, and we now have a little bit of carnival, for we have Bakhtin and Cultural Theory. I recalled it from the library, and as I walked in here, my colleague, Brigitte, on my right, said, "You've recalled my book." I think also, just in reading, I noticed that in the text, which is called Formal Criticism and Reader Response Theory by Davis and Womack, they mention there that in fact Bakhtin forms some of the underpinning of reader response theory, and so some of the ideas of Bakhtin in fact have been incorporated into the work, and I don't know, once I read this I know some more, but I would imagine into things by Umberto Eco and perhaps Wolfgang Issa and Roman Jakobson, and so I can then follow up this and hopefully, anyway, that was my question. That was a question.
You've almost done. Really?
Well, Michael gave me a good lead, I suspect.
Just before anyone answers, I'd just like to welcome whoever just joined by phone. Can you hear us?
Hello, hi, this is Anna.
Hi, Anna.
I'm through the Skype through the phone.
Lovely, you could join us.
Yes.
Would you like us?
Yes.
You go.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't do it before.
That's no problem. You're here now, and that's all that matters. Anna,
Okay.
would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, I'm Anna Marianovic Shane, and I don't know who is there, but some people know me. I work at Chestnut Hill College in Philadelphia, and I am one of the editors of the Dialogic Pedagogy Journal, together with Eugene. Hi, and that's who I am so far.
Thank you. Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 6 of us in this room in New Zealand, and there is Eugene from your end of the world, and Leah from Canterbury in New Zealand, all here together in the same room with you. So if you can imagine all of us sitting here listening eagerly to what you have to say.
Very nice.
We've just heard from our 2 of our keynotes, and we've had a wonderful discussion from a colleague, Tony, who's been talking about his empirical work and how that might relate to Bakhtin. So that's where we're up to. We're opening the floor for questions, and then we're going to close with some information about the conference. Does that sound all right, Anna?
I couldn't hear that. Could you repeat just the last thing?
We're going to open the floor for questions.
Yeah, okay.
And then discuss the conference, which you will play a part in, because, of course, Anna is organising the Dialogic Pedagogy Institute part of the week. So we hope we'll be able to hear from you about that shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Yes? Okay.
Yes, I can talk about that. Yes.
Okay. So now that you're caught up, can we return to Tony's issue? Did anybody want to make a comment in response to Tony?
Can I say something? Tony, it's accidental, but recently, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, Maron, what's her name, last name I forgot, he asked people to write about application of dialogic pedagogy framework for students who learn English. So English is secondary, yeah. And there are, it's on the Dialogic Pedagogy Journal Facebook. You can find that, and people put some literature, and maybe you can add literature as well if you know that. She asked about U.S. context, but it's that people are being ignored from United States context either. So it may be interesting if you bring like what you know about that, or you can read references that people bring.
Eugene, that makes me think, would it be worth you sharing for a moment something about the Journal of Dialogic Pedagogy and the Facebook page, because those are potential sites people can go to find out more about Bakhtin.
Yeah, this is, thank you. And Jane is also part of that, part of our editorial team. This is a new journal that started this January, in the middle of January. So it's an online journal. It's open access journal. It's called DPJ, and it's very easy to find it. It's dpj.pitt, Pittsburgh, from the Pittsburgh, .edu, education. And so this journal, we just published first article recently. It has very interesting dialogic discussion and review process and so on and so forth. And also we started like maybe in April, at the end of April, Facebook, which is very successful. We have almost 200 people all over the world, participants of that page, and we discuss there. Whatever issue you want, you can just bring that and discuss or ask questions. And at some point, we want to discuss videos, and which again coming from all over the world. I'm thinking to maybe introduce even idea, maybe having even a reading group over there, so we can people who want can read something and we can discuss that.
Idea.
Yeah, so this is very new idea. We have Twitter also working there, connected to the Facebook, and it's a lot of fun to be there. And please join that. In order to join that, you just I can. Oh, you know what? Why don't I send? Can I send link to that?
Yes, we'll put that up.
Yeah, okay.
We can put that up on the website.
Okay, let me send the there. It's actually you can see that it's a rather simple link because it's facebook.com, / one word, Dialogic Pedagogy Journal, one word. Okay, you will see it now.
Oh yes, we see it. Great.
Yeah, and you just can click like it. When you get there, click like it. In this case, you will become a member of.
We will do that. There's our IT expert.
There is already a link to the DPJ Facebook page on the conference Facebook page.
So we're already beginning the process. That's great. Yeah. Okay, so I think, Courtney, you also had a question.
By the way, can I add something? We can actually do a lot of interesting things the more I've learned about, I'm absolutely new to Facebook. I don't know how you, but we can do a lot of interesting activities in preparation to the conference. Like we can do like voting things or we ask people to send interesting topics that they think conference should discuss, or so on and so forth. It's just like we can connect this page with the conference.
There might even be the potential, we could talk about that as the committee, there might even be the potential to do some sort of online something at the conference itself, using the site perhaps. We'll have particularly for the Dialogic Pedagogy Institute part, that might work really well. Anna?
Yes.
You still with us, Anna?
Yes, I'm here, yes.
Good.
They could be using the, as Eugene said, before the conference or during the conference, the Facebook page or Twitter. Also, we were thinking about the Dialogic Pedagogy Institute to have interesting sessions that people maybe participate just like a session called It's Your Turn Now.
Yeah.
So that people who even plan maybe to participate with something in advance, if they are inspired to share an issue or a demonstration of some teaching approach, they could do that right there. So that's what I got from Viv is that there may be some teachers who want to participate, but maybe think that this is like a very high company and they may be shy about participating. So the more we get in touch with them before the conference through the Facebook, it could be better and make them feel friendly approach.
Sure. Thank you for that. Okay, well, let's move to our second question now. Courtney, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Not really. Not really. I haven't really got a question. I'm just kind of interested in basically intersectionality and feminist theory and non-human animal theory. And I was kind of wanting to know what maybe there could be within Bakhtinian philosophy about those kind of aspects. And I'd quite like to do something at the conference, but I haven't had much time to do much reading yet, so it'd be good if you could point me in the direction of some good places.
Would anybody like to comment on that?
Nope.
I'm also quite interested in that. Sorry, go on.
Lindley?
I was just quite interested as well in looking at whether Bakhtin offers a form of cultural criticism against dominant views of the human, non-human divide, whether there's a space for that within Bakhtinian dialogic theory and notions of cultural critique also in terms of speciesism. So is there any work done on that within Bakhtin?
Does anybody know?
I personally don't know, but I would want to tell you that it's extremely interesting. I want to encourage you to develop, and maybe you can start developing, but not just maybe raising particular issues within maybe Bakhtinian framework or to the Bakhtinian framework, addressing that and just raising the most interesting question to that, both from kind of feminist perspective, if you're more familiar with that feminist perspective, kind of looking at the Bakhtinian, what can Bakhtinian, just to create a dialogue, trying to engage Bakhtinian framework in dialogue with that, with feminist perspective, and also with kind of it's very interesting to push dialogue to the non-humans, but also even before that, this is I'm looking right now at Jane as well, to the very, very little kids who cannot speak, because usually Bakhtinian framework is very verbal, although it doesn't need to be verbal. And all issues, I think that, let's say, for me, what Jane is doing is extremely innovative and pushing Bakhtinian framework really to its limits. But the next step, of course, is look at the kind of non-human as well, non-human species, and to see kind of what Bakhtinian dialogic framework can offer.
And
unfortunately, I cannot.
Do you think too, Eugene, the idea of bringing Bakhtin into dialogue with others like Bakhtin and Christeva, Bakhtin and Deleuze, what are the potentialities when we bring these potentially asynchronous or oppositional ideas into the same conversation? I see that very much as something I'd really like to encourage people to be thinking about for this conference. And just so people might be interested, that Michael Gardner, Carl and I are at the moment proposing a book on this very topic, which we're hoping will come out of this conference. And people in this room and people out there may be interested who are wanting to push, what are the potentialities of having these. To me, that would seem to be very much, would you agree, Eugene, within the spirit of dialogic philosophy, that we would be having these dialogues that actually confront, it's another form of a chronotopic threshold in a sense, isn't it? That we actually bring these different theoretical orientations to bear on a current problem or issue that we're facing. So really encourage you guys to do that.
Would it be useful to consider, I can't pronounce the name, I don't think, Irigaray?
Irigaray, yes.
Irigaray would be someone on the feminist side, I think.
The spectrum of the self, isn't it? Yeah, so that would be, because, that whole idea of selfhood would be really interesting.
There's also quite a bit, in this paper that you did about the other.
Yes, yeah.
And some of your work, Eugene, about the culture and being on the boundaries of culture and how that they... Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know, I haven't read too much about it, but it is quite interesting, about being on the boundary and having the other and self and things like that, and working that into non-human animal theory, maybe?
You know what, the closest to that, what I did the work, in my book, 2009 book, there is a chapter when describing the work with autistic child.
Yes, right.
And the issue of autism, I work with the mildly autistic child, but there is discussion also with severe autism, about severe autism there. And that may be, it's the closest that I work, but I would, it can be helpful because this is like, to some degree, the issue of ultimate other. And ultimate other usually considered to be ultimate on the kind of evil part of other, like dialogue with the evil, but it also can be dialogue with when it's huge asymmetry involved, like dialogue with the toddler, or dialogue with autistic person, or dialogue with non-human species, and that's very interesting to consider that from kind of that perspective as well.
Do you think Anna, would you like to?
Yeah. If I may say something that I have been recently thinking about and preparing to probably with Jane write about that. When you say with a toddler or a small child, we of course immediately could think of play. And one of the things that I was thinking recently about play is that it is creating boundaries of reality. That in creating an imaginary, actually, if you think about the disproportion between an adult person and a toddler talking, it is like two cultures meeting. But the adult is creating for the child the boundaries of the reality. So I would ask to think about that way of explaining, let's say, problems in communication through culture, as Eugene say, as a cultural frame, but we could also use a play frame to say that there is another chronotype or another way of doing things in an imaginary way, and then that creates the reality also as well as the imaginary. There is a boundary created.
Right. The other thing I was thinking of, just as you were speaking, was this idea of authorial Tao, the concept of other as being a much more, well, you talked about metaphysics, Carl. I think there's a lot of mystery, that kind of mysterious communication that takes place with nature, with other, with, so that would be another area to really explore, I think, potentially.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'll have to have a think about who I've read on that, but there's lots of people who've written on that. Yeah. And if anyone else thinks of anything, please send it our way. But it also might be useful.
By the way, this is actually where I think Facebook can be useful. If you start posting this question on Facebook, again, we have right now 400 people all over the world, and maybe they will reply. We can use collective wisdom and kind of distributed wisdom and find out which might be helpful.
Very. Okay, well, we've got time for one more question if anybody wanted to raise one. Brigitte, did you have anything you would like to ask?
No, not at this point.
Okay, Leah, do you have anything that you would like to raise?
My head is too full to ask questions. But Courtney, I think that I was just reading recently, I think in the book called Rethinking Bakhtin, and I can look it up for you. There was a chapter in there by two feminist authors.
Okay, that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got it up at home, so I'll send you. And Facebook, yes, I agree that would be a really good idea. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our next step.